So g'day everybody, Wade Northhausen here, having another shot at this. A few technical issues with a bit of sound there. We are here in Woomelang in Western Victoria, in the Mallee area, and we've been at a meeting here where the public and many of the farmers and landholders and community members have been here talking with Curyo about one of their wind factories that they want to put up in this region. So we've come along here today, and we've met up with a heap of people. And one of the blokes that we talked to was Trevor, and Trevor was inside and asked some questions of the panel there from Curyo, and has some fairly serious concerns. So g'day Trevor, and where do you come from, mate?
I'm from Woomelang, but farmers out watch up the west, which will be near Curyo's wind farm. Yep.
All right. So now, Trevor, you raised some issues that you've had that's become apparent to you with your next door neighbour, as I believe is one of the hosts of a wind farm, and we're talking about buffer zones. So you might just explain a little bit about what a buffer zone is and how it affects your property.
Yeah, buffer zones are a 1.5 kilometre area around the wind farms where you've come to restrictions on buildings and farming activities around the wind farm. Yeah.
So now your house currently, as I believe, and shedding is now inside this brand new buffer zone that you knew nothing about. You'll be affected by this. You'll have to shift from in that zone or something, will you?
I don't know about shifting, but I'll be within the buffer zone because the wind farm will be on 3 sides, and that will limit my activities in trying to improve the farm, like building sheds or new house or anything like that. Yeah.
So, like, this is a fairly serious thing for people who might not know when we're talking about, these installations and how they affect neighbours. So, when obviously the people who own the property next door, when they were, I don't know, negotiating or talking to the company about these wind turbines, did they notify you at all, or did they speak to you about the impacts it'll have on you, or did you get any sort of consultation with Cubico or anything?
No, I haven't been in contact with by Curyo not once, and which I thought they should have, especially when I'm going to be so severely impacted.
So, and we've covered a lot of stuff with to do with this renewable energy, and a lot of the things that these companies do is they'll start to play one neighbour against another, or one community member against another, and that sort of stirs up a fair bit of trouble throughout the community. So, what are your thoughts on how this should have gone? Do you think that they should have contacted you, or should have been included in the negotiations, perhaps, or the information?
Well, the information should have been shared around instead of all done under secrecy, and at least you think the company would have the decency to come around and say, look, this is the fact, what's going on, but you haven't heard a word from me. It's more from media. I've heard more about the restrictions than anything else.
So now we heard from a couple of other speakers or a couple of other people inside asking questions. And so if you were in a situation where you wanted to, you had to move your house because of obviously this 1.5 kilometre buffer zone, and we've found this from other meetings, is because of interference to people and health concerns from these turbines. If you had to move your house and shedding into a part of your property that did not have a buffer zone on it, uh, do they give you any financial assistance to build a new house because of their buffer zone and their wind turbines?
Like I've said, I haven't heard a word from Cubico. They haven't came to see me or say anything to me. Not at all. Just silence.
So we heard inside from a few people who cited these very same issues with another wind company, and they said that the wind company they were involved with ended up taking them to VCAT with and legal problems, So therefore, it would appear that from the comments from Cubico that they wouldn't go down that same path. But I mean, somewhere or another, somebody is going to be out a few $100,000 to build a new house and new shedding and that. Do you think that they should be the ones to cough up the money if their thing next door neighbour is causing you to have to build new buildings?
Well, with the ones who own the wind towers, it's up to the wind company to compensate where it needed, because who else is it? So they're the one coming in putting the buffer zones around. Otherwise, the buffer zone should have been inside the host family's farms instead of outside.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I think need to be looked at when this stuff happens. That so we should not be impacting our next door neighbours, particularly when they've got no idea of what's happening. They've got no interest in the business at all of the wind turbines and so on. So how big a place are you farming out here, Trevor?
On about 4,500 acres. So, yeah, yeah, and the buffer zones will go across a fair percentage of that area.
So have you heard of anybody else in your community who's having similar issues with these buffer zones?
Yeah, it's the buffer zones all around the wind farms. Yes, and there's others with wind farms on three sides too. So, two sides, yeah, three sides, yeah.
So we heard inside there that they were talking about if they do build these wind turbines, then the transmission line capacity to take the electricity away isn't there. So, have you heard anything about them maybe having to start building transmission lines around here, which is an extra problem?
No, they haven't disclosed anything about the transmission lines, and they're keeping it pretty secretive. Only thing they've said is that they have to go to southwest.
All right, mate. Look, thanks very much for that, Trevor, and it's been good to catch up with you and have a bit of a quick chat. Um, I hope you got some sort of an idea of something from this, and I think the whole the public everything was about scrap the project and rack off.
Yes, well, even just for them to listen and take notice and get what local opinion is would be a benefit, rather than trying to feed us like we're mushrooms.
That's a very polite way of putting it, Trevor. So,
Yeah, I had to
all right,
rechange my wording.
all right, mate. Look, thanks a lot for that, and best of luck with everything. We'll keep an eye on what's happening here. We'll be back over here when other things are going on, and yeah, it's appreciate you talking with us because other people around Australia who watch what we do in regard to all this kind of renewable stuff. A lot of people will look at this and go, "Hang on, I didn't know about that." I've got a wind farm, sorry, wind turbine mob, or something that's knocking on my door. But then they haven't told me anything about what we're seeing on Billboard Battalion with Trevor or others from the region. So I'd just like to say thanks for giving us some information that other community members can look into and not get caught before they actually know what's happening. So thanks a lot for that, mate.
No worries, thanks.